let's talk about Periwig and let's start with Clue. I mean, even amidst COVID-19 restrictions, the show went on, masks and social distancing, on stage with a smaller but still live audience as well as a virtual audience. And for the show, auditions were virtual, and so were the majority of the rehearsals leading up to the show. How did you and the company overcome the obstacle of speaking lines and practicing the performance through a computer screen?
Well, I can't say it went perfectly because I felt that every single day there was some new constraint, either something from the school or an expectation of needing of the space or something else that would come down the line. So you had to be really kind of resilient and flexible when it came to those things. But literally every day there was something brand new. But I think the focus again with Clue was a 5 week rehearsal period, which doesn't, looking back, it doesn't even seem like we even had 5 weeks, but it was a 5 week rehearsal period. We had auditions, really quick turnaround to casting the reading and also Clue. And then 3 weeks essentially online doing virtual rehearsals, like three to four per week, depending. And not all were the same length. More or less, they were somewhere around an hour and a half. And certainly as like, sports picked up and virtual meetings were added on, and dinner times, especially dinner times and house expectations, when those were kind of added in, had to be pretty flexible around, what we just cut away and what we could do. The focus though for those first 3 weeks was really about establishing the plot with the cast, talking about character and relationship, even though we were virtual, and then digging into the lines and kind of essentially what the shape of the play is overall. It's a farce, so we had to talk about time and rhythm a bit. And then, of course, we get to move to the stage. And when we moved to the stage, we had 2 weeks from getting on stage to closing. And it wasn't even truly 2 weeks because we didn't use every single day. We had 2 days, technically, when we weren't on stage. But that was wild. We had 5 rehearsals on stage, and then it was costumes, mics, run the show, and we opened. So a 5 week rehearsal period, 3 weeks online, virtual, and 2 weeks in person, complete with masks and as much social distancing as we possibly could. So it was a whirlwind kind of process. Yeah, we made it work. And I think the thing that helped the group overall kind of see to the end is a passion to perform and realizing we were going to do this, it's going to be different and strange and weird, but it's also going to be unique and interesting. And hey, we're doing theater. So kind of keeping that throughout the whole process and that kind of all-in mentality was really helpful getting us through the end.
Now, kind of moving on to the virtual theater we just had. So, we just put on the play Everybody. I know I watched, I thoroughly enjoyed it. And Everybody is a very unique play. It's definitely nothing like I've ever seen at Lawrenceville. So, what can you tell me about like the uncommon character setup? I don't know if that's the way to put it, of Everybody, as well as figuring out how to portray and perform this one of a kind show over Zoom.
All right, three things come to mind when I think of this. So one, it's a brand new play reading series. The whole purpose of the play reading series was to, one, bring different opportunities for students to perform in like a low stakes kind of way. Opens up a lot of opportunities for like a varsity athlete, somebody who maybe didn't get cast before, somebody who wants to opt in quickly. So it really opens the door for that. But also it opens up opportunities for us to do plays we typically might not necessarily do on a stage in a fully produced format. So there's that. Two, the play itself is unique. It has, as you just mentioned, that strange lottery where about, 8 pages in or so, we find out that five of the characters who begin the play as somebodies find out by way of a lottery that they find out what roles they're going to play for the rest or the remainder of the play. And that's how it actually is written. It's baked into the play, and that's unique. And what we ended up doing was using because we were virtual, we ended up using a random, just go to random.org and use a random name generator. And that was our thing for the day. And I would say this is the third point and ties into the second one, that we had 6 rehearsals, kind of more like 5.5, really. Election was happening on top of this. And that's another wild thing. So we had 6 rehearsals to focus on the play and practice what it felt like to go through those randomized roles, giving an opportunity to explore those things, to explore those characters, and explore the roles, and really stepping back and thinking about what is this character? What are these characters like? Because any one of that group of five is going to have to step into that role that evening on those said nights. Everybody that was in that rotation got a chance to read for everybody, I think twice. The Everybody is the main role that the play is titled after, and that the casts kind of cycle through, so to say. So, a six rehearsal virtual process to dig into a play that you could read off the script, but had familiarity with the lines. You knew the purpose of the play, the plot, and you knew the conflicts, and you knew the rotation, more or less, coupled with virtual settings and some music and even some, flashy face masks. So that was a very interesting learning process. But overall, it was an opportunity for us to explore a new play, especially one that we probably wouldn't produce on stage. Has a lot of expletives in it. And we also got to work with the playwright. The playwright came. He came and saw our work and had a short talk back. Actually, it wasn't that short. It was about half an hour after the final show. So that's pretty unique. The one thing I always think is kind of fun that students forget, and maybe they were on the cusp of that kind of change, is that playwrights do exist. I know that sounds corny, but just like composers and authors and playwrights, they're real people. And how cool for a student to see or connect with a play that is modern, contemporary at least, and actually get to talk with the playwright. I mean, they're alive. They're here. They're
Right.
not. They're not just like some fictitious thing that you have no opportunity to connect with, because they do exist and they do great work.
And now let's kind of talk about the future of Periwig. I mean, I know we have Winterfest auditions going on right now. So what's Winterfest going to look like?
Oh, the future of Periwig. So much weight in this conversation, this question. Well, virtual term as determined by the school and what is best right now, knowing that we're working through a pandemic globally. Certainly nationally, we have a lot to concern about ourselves about. But for Periwig and for Winterfest, we are shifting into production mode, a virtual production. So whereas we just came off of a virtual reading, there was some softness to that. Yes, we had some sound, and yes, there were some kind of flashy things that we did. It was a reading, 6 rehearsals. For a fully realized production, you're talking about changing backgrounds. You're talking about fully memorized. You're talking about physicalization more with the characters, getting up, movement, showing objective through the body, exploring the voice, and then also exploring the camera a little bit more than we did with everybody. But with Winterfest, I'm hoping to see more of the like using this interface. This aperture is a really cool thing that we can use to work with when it comes to doing theater. Certainly, we're modeling what is being done professionally in the professional theater world. A lot of theaters have either shuttered or closed just for the time being, or have adapted kind of a virtual theater model where they're using platforms such as Zoom and other ones to deliver to audiences and also give back to the artists that create theater an opportunity to kind of do what they do best. So I'm expecting from Winterfest to be a fully realized production in several productions stitched together into several evenings of plays, and that's the push for that. We are hoping to have another reading also in the winter term. Again, though, a little bit easier for people to come fall into. Something that falls in line with the voices we need to be hearing from right now, or perhaps something that touches on our current climate, culturally, maybe specific to Lawrenceville, maybe a message we need to hear, maybe just fun, whatever we need to get to. That's the goal of the reading, and then we need to see what's going to come down the road when I was going to say fumble down the road when it comes to the spring, because yes, we have plans to push Freshman Shakespeare into the spring, to still do STC, to have our concert series from our amazing music ensembles and groups. So we are pushing things, but we're looking at what happens next in order to best plan for those things. And just like Clue, we're learning to be flexible and resilient, because each day, or at least each week, we're learning new information that we and the performing arts department and just as artists have to respond to do what we do to reach our audiences and to provide opportunities for our students. and gosh darn it for ourselves, because there's quality of life here going on too, um, and make something come of our art forms, even though we're in the middle of a pandemic. So yeah, it's been such a pleasure to chat with you, and yeah, good luck in finishing up the term.
Thank you so much.